Hi everyone, I'm going to share my books I got from the library today, as the title of the video says. So apparently I feel like repeating myself. Let's just get started with the first book I'm currently already holding in my hand, My Map of You by Isabel Broom. This is basically the perfect book to start this video out of. I have no idea why I grabbed this one to start with, because I don't know anything about it. I just saw the cover, I thought it looked like a perfect summer read, and I only read that it takes place on a Greek island. I loved the cover, I thought it looked so perfect for summer. And I don't know, it's a romance book, it's a family story, it looked very summery. I will give it a try and see what I think. The next book I have here is The Heart Goes Last by Margaret Atwood, and I didn't plan on reading this book, but the library got it. It just kept on staring at me from the shelves when I looked through the other books, so I decided to grab it after all. I wasn't the biggest fan of Atwood's other works I read so far, but this isn't so big, and I thought the story sounded pretty interestingly, if I'm remembering it correctly, because I will not read the back on here. It is about a married couple that has financial struggles, and when they see somewhere, I think in an advertisement, that there is an experiment searching for participants that offer jobs and a house to them, they just decided to do it, and once they start doing it, they are told that they have to spend half a year in prison or something like that. I'm not completely sure. My library had it and it kept staring at me. I have no idea why, but I might give it a try. The next book I have is another cover grab, and that is The Secret River by Kate Greenwell. And this is a historical fiction about a man from 1806 that does something illegal in England and gets deported to Australia with his family. I think this book is about learning to realize what home means and what you can make to be home, or something like that, if that made any sense. But I just thought the cover looked interesting. I would love to know if any of you guys read this book, because I never heard or saw it anywhere before I saw it in my library, and it apparently won a huge amount of prizes and was nominated for other huge amount of prizes around 2006, and I never heard about it. So if you have read this and have an opinion about it, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about this book from anybody that read it. The next one I have is The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley. This is a historical fiction book, but this one is a mystery romance kind of book where a woman and her 5 sisters go back home because their father dies, and I'm guessing that there are secrets either about the father's death or the home they grew up in. No idea, but I always wanted to read something by Lucinda Riley. On the back it says it's a brilliant page turner, and I just wanted to have one of those in my stack because, you know, a page turner is always a good thing to have. Another historical fiction I grabbed is The Silk Merchant's Daughter by Dina Jeffries. This takes place in French Indonesia, I think in the 1950s sometime. 1952, where a woman is handed the control of her family's silk business, and her sister gets given a silk shop after their mother's death. This sounded like something that could be interesting, so how she involves the historical events that occurred during that time with the corruption and the rebels that wanted the French ruling to end and all of that, and I just wanted to see how this author deals with that, and the cover was pretty as well, so I thought I just check it out and see what I think. And then I have another book that I did not actually plan on reading, but I keep hearing about it, so I had to pick it up. That is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and if you're somebody that follows me on Goodreads or is a friend with me on Goodreads, you will be surprised that I have this now, because I have read 3 or 4 Hoover books before, and all of them I gave very low rating and just rambled on about how much I do not understand how people can love her, because she writes such problematic relationships in a way that it seems like it's okay to have that kind of relationship, and I'm not a fan of that, but I keep hearing about this book and how much people love it and how fantastic it is. I'm one of those people that if I hear people continuously talking about a specific book. I have to read it simply to form my own opinion, and for that I have to read it. So I have it now, and if I feel like it, I will read it, but I'm not completely sure yet if I actually want to torture myself and pick it up. But you know, I have it here, so I can do that if I want to. If you have read it and have an opinion about this specific book, please let me know in the comments and let's chat there. Apparently Hoover is one of those authors that you either really love and you just enjoy her books, or you fall into the category that I fall into, that her books are just not for you. So I would love to hear what you guys think about her writing and her books, and I might give this a try. And the next book I have is Airborne Schicksal, or Best Kept Secret by Jeffrey Archer, and this is the third book in the Clifton Chronicles. And since I recently read book 1 and 2 in this, I thought I get this so I can continue. But I really hope that this book follows the plot and the writing style of the first book and not the second, since the second to me was not nearly as good as the first one. And if you don't know, and you can tell from the cover of this book, this is a historical fiction series that follows the main character Harry Clifton. In the first book he is a child and growing up his 20s. In the second book we follow a couple of years in his 20s, and I'm guessing that the third one picks up from there and we follow couple of more years in his life. It's just about how he grew up before the war started, after the first one, and before the Second World War. And the second one took place mostly during the Second World War, and I think this third one is happening right after the Second World War. I just liked the first one. It was entertaining, it was fun to read. It is nothing that will break any records for me because it's just fun and easy and a nice read, and it's entertaining, and sometimes I need those kinds of books. And then I have a thriller, and that is Smella, or The Ninth Grave by Stephen Onham. This is the second book in the Fabian Risk thriller series. It is a Stockholm crime novel, and I read the first one a couple of months ago. It was okay. I liked it enough to see if the author manages to become better at his writing and storytelling, or if he goes the other way, and then this one will be the last I read of his. But his first one was a pretty typical Swedish crime book, and if you don't know what that means, it means that it is a pretty brutal kind of writing style. It's clearly a thriller. It's almost horror in some ways because there's a lot of torture going on. It's very graphic, it's very bloody, but at the same time this author in the first one also managed to write the parts that were not torture and bloody and, you know, screaming. He managed to write it pretty boringly, so I wanted to see if he manages to even that a little out, that he's not just enormously gruesome but also a little bit less boring, I guess. I just wanted to give a not as well known author a try again. So the next one I have, it will be a reread, and that is Der Name des Windes, or The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I read this book a couple of times in English already, and I just wanted to give it a try in a different language, because why not? I wanted to read something I know what is going to happen, and I just wanted to get this feeling that I always get from rereads of books I enjoy and love, and just have this coming home feeling, and I needed that right now, so I got this to get exactly that. I'm just happy to be back with the characters and the story and this plot and this author, and see if I will enjoy it just as much this time around as all the other times before. Third to last book is a very short one in comparison, and that is Der alte Mann und das Meer, or The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I never read anything by Hemingway before. I always wanted to do it ever since Jess from Gilmore Girls said that Hemingway only has lovely things to say about you. If I'm not mistaken, this book is about an old man, go figure, that is not able to catch a fish for months before he manages to catch a huge one, but he doesn't actually manage to catch it. He gets it on his line, but he doesn't manage to reel it in to his boat, I think. And this story just talks about that, I think. There is a lot of I think in this video. I'm sorry about that, but I will figure out what this book is about when I read it, and then I will let you know what I thought about my very first Hemingway ever. The second to last book is Blaue Hibiscus or Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I'm sure I butchered that name, I'm so sorry. This is yet another historical fiction, this one taking place in Africa, where a 15-year-old girl lives with a wealthy and very strictly religious Catholic father when Nigeria begins to fall under a military coup and all their lives begin to change. My library does not have her in English, so I just wanted to finally read her, and so I grabbed this. And the last book I have is a very well-loved book here on BookTube, and that is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This, if you don't know and have been living under a rock, is a science fiction book about a man that wakes up when nothing is as he remembers, and he tries to figure out if the life he remembers is real, and how, if it is possible to get back to the life he remembers, or if that is just something he dreamt up. And I was not sure if I wanted to read this book or not, because I'm not a huge science fiction reader, but once again I kept hearing people talk about it, so I want to give it a try, see what I think personally about it. So yes. And those were all the books I have currently out of my library. I am still waiting on a handful of books from them that I gave back before I managed to read them, so I'm on the waiting list to get them back, so I will be reading those as well. As always, I would love to know what books you guys have been reading, or if you have read any of the books I just shared with you. I would love to hear what you thought about them. If you did, let me know. Let's chat in the comments. And if you like this video, and if you love libraries as much as I do, please feel free to give this video a big thumbs up, and I hope you all have a wonderful start into summer or winter, depending on where you live, and I hope to see you in my next video, and until then, in the comments. Bye!